Here's part of the story that is developing today. 26 Republican governors now want action, and they are now demanding President Biden meet with them within the next 2 weeks. Yeah, they have a deadline on this. They've written a letter all together, and you see at the end of the letter, they've all signed it. As chief executives of our states, we request a meeting with you at the White House to bring an end to the national security crisis created by 8 months of unenforced borders. It's about a page and a half. 3 of those governors are in focus now. Doug Ducey of Arizona, Asa Hutchinson of Arkansas, and Brian Kemp of Georgia. Gentlemen, great to have you on the program. First of all, Governor Ducey, I want to start with the letter and really get a drill down on what you're hoping to accomplish, because we in the press can't even get the president to take our questions.
Well, it's time for the Biden administration to act. Border security has been seen as something that the southern states have to deal with on the border. The reason that you have Governor Hutchinson and Governor Kemp here from Arkansas and Georgia is because something that's become national security, because we don't know who's coming over the border, has become public safety. The drugs and crime that we're seeing rising in our states and flooding over the border is infecting our schools and neighborhoods. More than half the nation's governors, all Republican, have demanded a meeting with President Biden. We know how to fix this situation. It's a federal issue. We want to work with them, but the time for action is right now.
Well, look, the federal government is not responding to requests for help and all of it, Governor Kemp. And, you know, at one point, you would think that the White House would get back with a plan. They did send FEMA several months ago, and now they've asked for more troops. But we have, I mean, for some troops, we have a situation that's more urgent than a plan on a wall.
Well, Harris, we have over 200 Georgia National Guard troops down there now. They have been for a long time, and I visited them back at the end of the Trump administration. And what's happening now and what's happened just several months ago in McAllen, Texas, drastically different because the policies have changed. The messaging has changed from the Biden administration, and they need to act. I mean, we're glad to send more troops. But the question to me, as I heard the tape earlier about the apprehensions, what about the people that aren't being apprehended? How many people are coming across undetected? It's the governors that are going to have to deal with those individuals.
Yeah, we struggle to get exact numbers in real time, and they will release a number at the end of each month. But it helps to know in real time. We know it's about 3,000 people every day now that are trying to get into this country. The president put the vice president in charge of this, though. I want to get to that. And then, Governor Hutchinson, I'll come right to you. Vice President Kamala Harris finally speaking out now on the border crisis, but only to condemn Border Patrol agents on the front lines who were accused of mistreating Haitian migrants in Del Rio. Let's watch.
What I saw depicted about those individuals on horseback treating human beings the way they were is horrible. And I fully support what is happening right now, which is a thorough investigation. Human beings should never be treated that way, and I'm deeply troubled about it.
I'm curious to know how much digging in on all the facts she's done, because maybe they could tell us exactly what she thinks is going on. But the Democratic congressman from Texas, Henry Cuellar, took a different stance on things. He defended those Border Patrol officials. Watch.
If there was a problem, it should be investigated, and I think that's it. But we cannot paint the Border Patrol with the same type of paintbrush. Look, you know, what are they supposed to do? Just stand there and let everybody come in? You know, they're supposed to be enforcing the law.
Governor Hutchinson, this has been going on for 8 months. And the one incident that this vice president leans in on is something that, as you heard, a Democrat says simply needs to be investigated. It's not the whole kit and caboodle of what's going on the border.
Well, the Border Patrol is what is standing and supporting our national security. We need to support our Border Patrol. They're doing an amazing job with difficult challenges. As the congressman said, if there's any issue, it can be reviewed, but by and large, they have a very, very difficult job. Let me emphasize a couple points. First of all, this all started, as Governor Ducey said, because there's a change of policy in the Biden administration. Secondly, the wrong signal was sent to our counterparts across the globe that we have an open border. And this is the result of it, that is a border in chaos. The only way you can reverse that, and I think the Biden administration sees the need to do it, is that you've got to change policy, but even more significantly, you've got to put federal resources there that sends the signal that we're serious about protecting the border. These are not complicated steps. These need to be done. The fact that 26 governors have signed that letter is a strong signal that this is a miss and that's really adversely impacting all of our states.
You know, I want to talk now about the implications of you having to knock on the door of the White House, for lack of a better term, when you write a letter like the one that you've written. And Governor Kemp, that has to be an outlier in how normal business is done. I mean, I have to think that there's some level of frustration that it's come to this. Normally, you'd just be able to pick up the phone, wouldn't you? I mean, you're a chief executive, all of you, of your states, reaching out to our nation's chief executive. I would imagine he'd want to take a call. Governor Kemp?
Well, I think the frustrating thing for me, Harris, is, you know, when you're in the executive branch, your constituents and the citizens of your state and your country want to take action when there's a crisis. And unfortunately, the vice president and this task force, I haven't seen anything from them about any policy positions or changing anything from the disaster that we're seeing right now. And this current situation in Del Rio, this is just one of the examples. This has been going on, as you mentioned, for months and months. We're willing to help. You know I'm willing, the Georgia National Guard, to send more people, but they got to ask for that. So it's not just we're demanding something. We want to be part of the solution as well. But like Governor Hutchinson said, this is a federal issue. The federal government is supposed to protect our borders. We're glad to help. But I've been on tours with the Texas State Troopers on the river down there because they're having to go patrol the border because the federal government will not. That's outrageous to me. And the states are going to deal with gang members, human trafficking, fentanyl, and other things that are flooding across the border.
It's already happening. Yeah, it's already happening, which is why you guys have banded together. I don't know if we've got the video from over the weekend, but they had to take patrol cars, law enforcement and Border Patrol, to stop the people flowing into the country. They had to build a barricade of vehicles to keep the human beings from crossing into the country. They all have to be processed. And now we learn, Governor Ducey, and you're the border state in all of this. We know from Governors Kemp and Hutchinson that this is going to fan out in ways of drug cartels and sex trafficking and those horrible situations. The immediacy is, what about those families living along the border? What's happening to them, Governor Ducey? What's happening to their lives?
These ranchers are under assault. Their way of life has dramatically changed. And this White House doesn't listen to governors. It doesn't value governors. It doesn't talk to the governors. It looks at us as lower middle managers in their federal corporation. Where is Kamala Harris? She hasn't come to Arizona. Secretary Mayorkas is non-responsive. And Joe Biden is trying to change the news by doing vaccine mandates. We are asking for help from the federal government. We will partner with them. We've deployed our National Guard. Other governors have sent law enforcement to places like Arizona and Texas, and we're grateful. But we need the full faith and force of the federal government, and we should be supporting the Border Patrol. They're down there. With this administration's giving them 19th century technology. When we know that walls work, we know that drones work, we know that surveillance works, and then there should be a clear message that the border is not open. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris both raised their hand in the first debate and said they would offer free health care to people that illegally cross the border. They need to correct their messaging right away.
Well, can we get them vaccinated if we're going to let them fan out all across the country? I mean, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Does the White House care or not? And any governor can take that. We'll just ride your mic and make sure we follow you.
Well, that's the other part of this. We talked about the national security crisis. We talked about the public safety crisis. You can see the humanitarian crisis when you look at Del Rio. That should be labeled Bidenville until they clean this up. And then there's the public health crisis that we're experiencing. We're all battling. We're promoting and advocating vaccines, trying to keep our citizens safe, and the administration seems to forget about that. As people come over the border illegally, they should be returning them to their country. They should be enforcing Title 42. They should be finishing the wall, and they should be sending a clear message that the border is not open.
Well, thank you for giving our viewers on the Faulkner Focus an idea of exactly what you're going to say to the president should you sit down. Just real quickly, anybody heard from the president since you sent your letter? Yes or no?
No.
Okay.
Nothing.
We'll stay on it.
We haven't yet.
Governors, thank you very much for your time today. Chief executives in your state, one of 23 of 26 that are demanding a meeting with the President of the United States. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Wow. Did you hear him?
Thank you, Harris.
They're calling it Bidenville now, down at the border. After mocking it and blocking